Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Clockwork Apple and welcome to Let's Read The Creature of Havoc. So, if you don't know what this kind of book is, this is a game book. It's essentially a choose-your-own-adventure style story with Dungeons and Dragons style elements to it, I guess. So we've got, dice to roll, I got my stat sheet here with things I have to write down, and basically I'm just going to see how far I can get into the book. I'm likely to die a lot. This is like one of the hardest ones in the series, apparently. It's also my favourite, though. I've never actually beaten it. So, I'm going to start by reading the back. So, evil is festering in Trolltooth Pass. The necromancer Zaradin Mar is close to stealing the secrets of elven magic, which would make him invincible. Which isn't good, I'm guessing. Nothing could then prevent his Legion of Chaos from taking over the whole of Anacea. But what do you know or care about all this? In this unique adventure, you are the creature of Havoc, a monstrous beast of a taste for fighting, ruled only by hunger and rage. You have no knowledge of your past or destiny, and if you survive, you may begin to control your bestial nature and learn your true purpose. But success is by no means certain, for the traps and terrors of Trolltooth Pass are many. So that's the basic setup we've got going on here. We're actually a monster in this one. Normally these books have you be like an adventurer, sword, shield, armour, everyone loves you. Nope, here we're a big scaly creature. So basically the way these things work is you choose what you want to do. It gives you options at the bottom of each page. You choose what to do. Sometimes you have to roll these dice here just to see if you succeed in something. I won't go into too much detail. First thing I should mention is this book has backstory, about 20 or so pages of it. I mean, all that there is just backstory. All it really goes into is the villain and his motivations, but we already heard that. He wants to be invincible, I guess, so he's looking for anything that can give him power. Specifically, he's after these things called vapors that, again, grant you greater abilities than you're born with, I suppose. And he's absolutely obsessed with this kind of magic, which I think is called Maranga. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but basically it means transforming one thing into another, or like mutating things using magic. So basically he's the bad guy. I think you can figure that much out. So without any more explanation, I will start by generating my stats for this run through. I've got my little sheet here. So first we learn our skill. So I need to roll a dice and add 6 to it for my skill. I rolled a 6, so my skill is 12. So that's the highest skill we can get. Roll 2 dice and add 12 to that for my stamina. I rolled 8, add that to 12, so I start with 20 stamina. There we go. That's a reasonable number. And finally my luck, so I had 1 dice. I got 3, add 6, so my luck is 9. So if that's set up, we can actually try and do this. Oh yeah, one more thing is, so normally in these books, if you get hurt in combat, your character takes 2 points of damage, so that's 2 stamina, but you can use luck to try and lower it. In this game, because you're a monster and you're covered in scales and stuff, you actually only take 1 point of damage, because we're already sort of pre-armoured. So anyway, oh yes, and also if I manage to roll a double number in combat, so if I roll 2 3s for example, that's a critical hit and I win instantly. Or so it says here. So skip ahead to the start and we'll begin this thing. Where are we? Have a drink because my throat's gone dry already. That's going to happen a lot. The pain is unbearable. Summoning up all your energy, you open your eyes, first one and then the other. They narrow to slits as they adjust themselves to the strain of trying to see once more. Then relax as they make out familiar shapes in the dim light. A dirt floor, rocky walls. Then the pain takes over. Your head rocks, your eyes submit and close tightly in an agonized grimace. Instinctively, you raise your hands to cup your face, and a low moan mingles with the rasping sound as your rough fingers rub the scaly skin above your eyes. Scaly skin. After some time, the pain begins to ease. You open your eyes once more and peer out from between your gnarled fingers. You seem to be at the dead end of a passageway. Your surroundings are barely visible, but a dull glow is coming from the northern extent of the passageway, which stretches before you. A sound is also coming from this direction, of irregular breathing. Someone alive is up there. You heave your great bulky body to its feet. Along your backs, the spines bristle. Swinging your heavy head slowly from side to side, your progress is decided. Northwards is the only option open to you. How do I know where north is? If I'm a big scaly monster, what do I know of north? Oh well. Muscles strain and succeed in raising a lumbering foot which thuds loudly down on the ground in front of you. You repeat the action, first with one foot, then the other. After 4 steps, the motion has become automatic. You are moving more quickly and more quietly up the passage. When you reach the end, your eyes are drawn to a huddled shape lying on the ground in front of you. And we've actually got our first diagram here, so there's the huddled shape lying in front of us, I guess. And you can sort of see our shadow. We're very big there. The small figure lies on its side, facing away from you. It's shrouded in a dark brown cape tied around its neck and lies in a puddle of thick red liquid. Its body rises and falls irregularly with each breath. Some unidentified feeling swells within you. Is it anger, hate, fear, curiosity, hunger, or even sympathy? You bend down towards the little creature, uttering a meaningless grunt as you do so. The sound rouses the figure, which rolls slowly over to face you. The creature's dirty face is light-skinned, though barely visible under the thick hair which shades its closed mouth and almost totally obscures... Let me start again. The creature's dirty face is light-skinned, though barely visible under the thick hair which shades its closed eyes and almost totally obscures its mouth. From its chin, the hair rolls abundantly down its chest in a grey, unruly mass. Underneath the body, and now exposed by the creature's movement, is a sharp, shiny shaft, and this catches your attention. As you stand there staring, the creature's eyes flick open. They focus on your bulky shape, and look of terror streaks across the creature's face. In spite of its pain, it fumbles for and grasps the shiny shaft, holding its pointed end out towards you and baring its teeth. The wounded dwarf you have found is evidently in need of help. Will you? Show him you mean no harm? Try to talk to him, or bring your foot down heavily on his neck. So this is our first choice we've got here. Show him no harm, try to talk, or bring your foot down. I suppose trying to talk would be a good idea. Yeah, I'll try and say something to him. So I want to turn to 364 for that. 364 is... here. You greet the dwarf. At least you try to greet the little creature. But instead of any message coming from your throat, it is silent, and your hands reach down to grasp the terrified creature around the chest. He screams and makes a strange sound, which sounds like... I'll explain that in a sec. You try to answer, but the only sound you're able to make is a grunt of effort as your rough, scaly fingers close tightly around the creature's chest and your sharp claws dig in. Summoning up all its strength, it swipes at you with its sharp sword. The blade digs in under the scales above your knee, but the wound is not too serious. Take 2 points of stamina. Well, he injured us, I guess. So my stamina is now 18. The blow causes you to roar loudly and increase the pressure on the creature's chest. Its ribs crack like twigs under the force of your grip, and its body falls limp. You drop it to the floor where it lands like the sack of bones it is now. Your thoughts are confused. Will you attempt to hide the body, examine the creature, or leave the area immediately? So, when I was doing the dialogue there, it's basically just a jumble of letters. The thing is, though, our creature can't speak or read. It doesn't understand what's being said to it, so rather than try and pronounce the gibberish that's here, I'll just make up my own gibberish. I'll just go blah, 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 or something like that. Later on, we will get the ability to translate the gibberish and find out what it says. If I get that far, I will go through and translate it off screen and then have the translations ready to read out. So, But for the minute, I'll just read it as the gibberish it is. Okay, hide the body, examine, or leave. Should probably examine it, I guess. It might have something useful, or we might find out a clue as to what we are. Who knows? Your hands relax and the sharp claws retract into your fingers. You clumsily fumble through the dwarf's dirty vestments. Your fingers will not fit into the pockets, but you do succeed in snapping the thongs of a large leather pouch which the creature has around its waist. As the ties break, the pouch spills its contents on the ground in front of you. It contains several circular pieces of shiny metal and a piece of hide, which unfolds as it drops out of the pouch. It's light in colour and has markings all over one side. You pick it up awkwardly and look at it, but make no sense at all. You become quite fascinated by this piece of leather. You turn it around, rub it with your hands, throw it in the air. You place it on your arm and on your head. You decide to take the leather with you. Unknown to you, the message on the hide may be useful later in your adventure. Turn to 337 to examine the message. If you are carrying this piece of hide, you may return to 337 at any time to re-examine it. But you'll need to remember the reference you have come from in order to return and continue. So I'm going to write that down in my items carried. I have a piece of leather, and I can turn to 337 to read it. So why don't we go have a look at that? So I'm going to keep my finger here so I don't forget where I am. So again, this is just all gibberish. I will just hold it up to the camera here. Where are I? There we go, roughly. See, it's all just gibberish letters. You can't read a word of it. Later on, we'll be able to translate it, but not yet. So, as you may have now realised, your own wishes have very little effect on the reactions as a creature. You can only glimpse of what you are like and what you are capable of. Although this will change as your adventure progresses, at this stage you are at the mercy of your own whims and instincts. You are standing at a junction where you may go either east or west. Roll 1 dice. If you roll 1, 2 or 3, turn to 308. If we roll 4, 5 or 6, turn to 148. So we don't have any control right now, so we have to use the dice and basically see what happens. So I will roll a dice and see where we go. I rolled a 5, so turn into 148. See, 148, 148, here we are. That's 147. There we go. You decide to follow the passage east to your right. The first steps are slow as you take in the encounter with the dwarf. After a few paces, the corridor turns north. You approach a stout wooden door and must make a decision. Will you smash the door from its hinges and continue, or will you give up on this route and return to the dwarf's corpse? Roll 1 dice again. If it's 1 or 2, we turn to 419. If it's 3 to 6, we turn to 72. So let's see what we do. 6. So that means 72 is where I turn then. I wonder what we're going to do. Is this going back or is it... Here we go. With one hand, you swat the door. The force is great and your fist succeeds in cracking the wood, but the door does not open and your anger rises. A sound stirs within the room. You listen carefully and can hear heavy breathing coming from within, mixed with a shuffling sound, as if something was slowly moving around. A growl, deep and low, comes from your throat. Will you risk facing whatever's beyond the door, or try the safer routes back past the dwarf? Roll 1 dice. If we get a 1, we turn to 419. If we roll 2 to 6, 170. I hope we don't get a 1, because I don't want to go back. 3, there we are. Assuming that if 1 goes back, it might be the others make us go back, who knows. Fury builds up within you. You step back and with a loud roar you charge into the door. The hinges crack and are ripped off as the door crashes inward. There is no furniture or decoration in the cave that greets your eyes. There is a seat carved out of stone, but the room is clearly the dwelling of a captive or slave. Your eyes then switch to the room's inhabitant and your reaction is swift. The huge claw beast, whose peace you have disturbed, slashes at you with its deadly talons. You lurch back and avoid the creature's onslaught, but this attack serves only to fuel your rage. Your own sharp claws slide out and you turn to the claw beast. Resolve this combat. So we've got our first fight, and there's the there's the claw beast. It looks pretty vicious if you ask me. So I should have actually read how combat works, so I've briefly forgotten them. Yeah, so we roll 2 dice for each fighter, and then whoever gets the highest score... No, roll 2 dice, and then add our skill. Whoever gets the highest score does the damage for that turn. So first, I'll go into my monster encounter box and write down the Claw Beast, who has a skill of 9 and a stamina of 14. So, I get my 2 dice, and I roll them both for me. So I rolled an 8, add that to my skill to get 20. The Claw Beast rolled 10, add that to his skill to get 19. So I hit it that time, and took down its stamina by 2 points, making it 12. So let's keep going. I rolled 8, so I'm 20 again. He rolled 8, so I did more damage again. That's 10. Keep rolling these dice. I rolled 2 1s. That's a double, which means I killed it immediately. Which means it is dead. There's 1 dead Claw Beast. If you defeat the creature, turn to 389. That's what I like is you can end combat really quickly if you manage to get a double roll, because that's just how powerful the creature is. Here we are. Your foe is defeated and you feel justifiably proud. Your gaze passes from the dead creature to its lair, but there is nothing of interest, and the sickening stench of the Claw Beast makes you want to leave quickly. There are 3 ways onward. The passage behind you, a cave entrance in the western wall, and another in the northern wall. What will be your next action? Roll 1 dice. There are 3 ways onwards. Hang on. Cave in the passage behind us. That's the way we already came, so we're probably not going backwards. So roll 1 dice to see where we go. Alright, rolled a 4, so I turn to 230. We'll be able to actually make decisions later on. It's just for the minute we're stuck driving by instinct, which... oh well. Alright, 230. Your vengeance on the Claw Beast is not yet complete. You must satisfy your lust for the spoils of victory. You kneel by its side and feast on the flesh of your victim. We just ate it. You may add 2 stamina points for the meal. So we have just healed back the damage the dwarf did to us, so we're back on 20 again. Yeah, so the creature will actually feast from its foes, which is kind of gross and kind of cool at the same time. If we're already at full health and we eat, our stamina won't go higher than 20, unless it specifically says to do that. So 20 is our max for the minute. Okay, now turn to 165. 165, where are you? Alright. Roll 1 dice. If you roll 1 to 3, you decide to head north into the wide cavern entrance ahead of you. If you roll 4 to 6, you take the narrow cave entrance that leads west. Alright, let's see where we're going. 4. So we're heading into the cave entrance going west. I turn to 344, which is here. The passage continues westward, but begins to narrow after a few paces. It bends first to the left, then to the right. At one point you disturb a group of rats feasting on some partially decomposed remains, but they scurry off into the blackness as you pass by. Suddenly a sound in the distance alerts you and you stop. Ahead there is a sharp bend to the south, and flickering light and dancing shadows warn you of danger. For a few moments you hesitate, but your emotions take over. A raging storm seems to be gathering within. Your eyes narrow, your lips curl back to reveal your sharp teeth. You flex your powerful muscles and step forward. Fearlessly, you step around the corner to face whatever awaits you. Turn to 205. Let's see why they couldn't have just written that one entirely in the one place if it's just the one choice here. Oh well. 205, there you are. Roaring like an enraged demon, you rush into the open chamber, ready to take on whatever's inside. Terrified shrieks come from the small party of adventurers huddling around a makeshift campfire at the centre of the area. 3 figures are warming themselves by the fire. One is wearing shiny clothes that clink as he moves. Another is dressed in red and also grows long dark hair from its chin. The third is a tiny creature with polished hide on its chest. He has no hair on his chin, but plenty on his feet, which he has been holding up to warm at the fire. Your eyes fixed on the smallest of the 3. Your breathing gets heavier and you feel a pure hatred gripping you. Without hesitating, you stomp across and grab the miserable hobbit with your claws. The other two have caught off balance and are slow to react. The hobbit has no weapon and should be an easy victim. This is a hobbit. We're going to kill Bilbo Baggins. Oh no. So, let's see. Bilbo here, it just says hobbit, it doesn't say Bilbo, but I'm going to call him Bilbo. Has a skill of 5 and stamina of 6. So this should be a fairly easy fight. If you defeat the creature in 3 straight attack rounds, turn to 160. If it takes longer than 3 rounds, turn to 86. So we've got to defeat it in 3 turns, but it's got low skill, so that shouldn't be too hard. So I start by rolling. I roll 6, which takes me up to 18. And he, no matter, even if he rolls 12, he won't get higher than that. He can get max 17, so I've just won that round already. That's 4 health. I roll 9, so again, he can't get higher than that, so 2. And 1 more. Come on, let's do it. I roll 9 again, so that's... Yeah, he didn't stand a chance. That was easy. So we beat him in 3 straight turns, turned to 160.